Hey, y'all know I like to eat, right? You know I like to eat. And so with that being said, I'm super excited about this. Now, I know these ladies are outside of the working realm and the nonprofit and the organizing and the youth building. So I was super duper duper excited when these ladies collaborated together and formed ... the Edible Schoolyards. Without further ado, I'm going to kick it off with Chef Liesha Barnett.
Hey, hi Kimberly.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Yes.
And the one and only, the community organizers of organizers. Gotta give respect where respect is due and credit is due.
I just love her.
I'm looking for some peach pie tonight. This is Miss Patricia Miller, community organizer. She has so many hats. I don't even know where to start at with you because you got like so many hats. But tonight you're just the community organizer and joint collective to the Edible Schoolyards.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you, Kim. It's great being here, and kudos for you asking us to be here. It gives me joy to
absolutely.
Really let our community know what's going on because we love to eat too.
Yes.
Okay.
You know
Yes. So much to talk about. I don't know where to begin. So I guess let's just kick it off with the basis. So let's talk about the Edible Schoolyard and what exactly is that for our viewers who are listening. What is the Edible Schoolyard?
So, 1995, our founder and owner, Alice Waters, decided that she was going to build a farm on 1 acre at Martin Luther King Elementary School because she realized it should be a right for every child to eat well.
Yes.
And she did that, and we are worldwide now. And we are now in Stockton, California. We are working collaboratively with Stockton Unified, Delta College, and UOP.
Right on. Mm-hmm. Right on. So, Chef Liesha, how did you get connected?
Pat. Yeah, so I met Pat through the farm here on the community farm at Box Tract, and she knew about my work as a chef and all of that, and we got to know each other over a few months, and then she said, hey, there's this thing I'm working on, and I think you would be a good fit. So let's see. And invited me to the training for Edible Schoolyard Project over the summer. Got to learn all about the philosophy of the organization, what it does, and what it is here in Stockton to do. And the rest is history.
Here you are.
Yeah, here I am.
The farmer meets the chef.
The chef, yeah.
The farmer meets the chef.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a perfect marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
So Patricia, can we talk a little bit about the farming, because you would be shocked as to how many people don't even know that the urban farming that our community does. You would be very, very shocked. And sometimes I am as well. Like when meeting you guys at different organizations and events, what opportunities that the community has, the benefits of it. Like when we talked about chickens, private conversation we had about chickens. I was like, what? You guys do chickens?
Chickens, bees, everything that grows from A to Z when you talk about vegetables and fruit. On the 8 acres at Boggs Track. It is amazing. So this journey for me started when I first came here. When I realized moving from San Francisco, Bay Area, to Stockton in the Valley, it was about, where am I at? Mm-hmm. Why are all of these trucks constantly on the highways? And it took me not long to realize locally, geographically, what Stockton and San Joaquin County does for the world. And I came up with a no-brainer. Everybody has to eat every single
Right.
day. Why was the poverty at 28% in 1989 when I got here, and people don't have access to food? It was heartbreaking. And knowing that the Port of Stockton imports and exports all of this food around the world, it made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I love to cook. I've always loved to cook. I had wonderful chefs in my family, which was the women,
Right.
my grandmother, my aunts, my mom, and I wanted to carry that on. I wanted to make sure that I lived long enough to see 2 generations. So being a great-grandmother was really, really important. And it was always around the dinner table, the breakfast table, where we had family conversation. So looking at that, I said, well, shoot, I'm young enough. I can get out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was different, I must say. But that's why I'm still here. And that's why the next generation of children must and should have an edible diet. They must be able to survive and thrive off of what they eat.
And that's such a, I think that, and I'm guilty in this as well. We're living in an era where everyone is busy. Go to here, gotta go here, drive through here, drive through there. People are overwhelmed with their schedule. How can the edible schoolyard be a tool for working families who, like me and probably many, are extremely busy? I don't know if that's more like a personal question or what.
It is personal, and that's great. It is personal, and that is great.
Yeah.
And Chef Liesha,
It's all about us giving you the tools to be able to do it, because we all are in that same position. And I even recently had to recognize that for myself, I had let go of some of the things that I was very particular about doing that did keep us connected to the dinner table and out of the drive-thrus. But in the Edible Schoolyard Project, what our goals are, particularly through the Family Night Out program, is education and support and giving you the tools that you need so that you can have you can avoid the drive-through. You can avoid the pitfalls of the processed foods. We bring to you the stuff from the farm, teach you how to cook it and how to make it for your family. Teach your kids how to be confident in the kitchen too. So those are the 2 things. Like if your children are confident in there and you are confident with them, you can make a meal in 30 minutes, and
Easy.
it might feel like it's a lot of time to get started, to get going, because in your mind you're thinking the rat race is what it is, but it's the prep beforehand, and we'll give you those tools to get there.
So, what is, like, can you give us a sneak peek of, like, common dishes or recipes that could offset, like, prep time and, something 30 minutes, 40 minutes that can get...
Well, the first thing is making sure that what you're using is seasonal.
Yes.
Like what is available right then and there
yes.
in its freshest season. And also understanding that everything doesn't need to take a very long time to cook, and possibly even considering some plant-based meals. And not thinking about the time it takes to cook meat, because you can eat vegetables and fruits in their raw and cooked state. So we're showing you mostly, just about probably 99% going forward, will be all plant-based recipes, just because that's the support that the community needs. But it's all about being able to get what's fresh, local, ready, And you just need one good pan.
One good pan and one good spatula.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of tools.
Yes.
Right.
I have a lot of tools because it's what I do. But honestly, if you have one good pan and one good set of cooking utensils, you're good. Mm-hmm. You don't need a whole lot of fancy stuff. It's just all a matter of try to have fun with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And really taking seasonality to the next level. Most folk have one understanding, and they look at a plate and they say, meat is your protein.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand how you can get the protein from other things that grow
Right.
from the ground.
Right.
And that is what's fresh, what is right in the store, and at the peak of season. So changing the mindset of what that really means is amazing.
Yeah.
And that is the pieces of the puzzle that if you
Because
if
you can't
give
have
us
what's
an
fresh
hour,
without
yeah.
the farmer.
Right.
So that's where
Right.
this comes into play, because with her and the farmers, then we know this. The farmer will tell you, oh, this isn't good right now, but this is. If you go to the store and you wonder why your food is, your tomatoes don't taste tomatoey and your apple tastes like water and all of these other things, it's because more than likely we're purchasing items that are out of season.
Correct.
Simply because we have the taste for it, or it's just there, it's available, and you think, oh, it's healthy, and then you wonder why it doesn't come out the same. But when you connect with the farmer's going to say, hey, my peppers are good this week, but that over there isn't.
Right.
Right.
So the farmer bases seasonality on a crop plan. And the crop plan is how we basically make the shift change, because in Stockton and the San Joaquin Valley, we grow 95% of the food that is shipped around the world.
Right.
So if you're only going into the store and you're seeing tomatoes that are not from San Joaquin Valley, you're not getting the freshest or the ripest tomato.
Or the most nutritious.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And most folk think that it is about cost. But when you know your farmer and you know what they grow, it does not cost any more to go to the farmer's market every Saturday and buy a week's worth of food.
And what I really appreciate what you guys are saying as well is, even for me as a therapist, a lot of things are misperceived because we're not educated about that. So we're not educated about, like you were saying about protein, like most people think protein must be meat. Protein must be meat, and it doesn't.
Plants have protein.
Plants have protein.
Grains have protein.
Right.
So all those folks out there on those low grain diets, you're missing some protein there.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to people having, affording themselves the time to be educated about food. And I know that food has always been something that I think of movies like Soul Food. Food good for the soul. Food for gatherings, and we have bar mitzvahs and what do you call those when they turn 16? Quinceañeras. And
15.
food is always at the core of parties and baby showers and
Culture.
wedding culture.
Yes.
So understanding the dynamics within eating healthy and what that actually means is so important to culture and people.
If folks understood that food is medicine, and they say it, and they believe it, and they understand it, there are a lot of, and I'm going to jump off the ledge, there are a lot of doctors that would be put out of business because health is a priority.
Sure.
And it should be a priority for a lot more individuals, but it's where they're at right then and there. If a doctor says you're sick and you need this, and it will make you well? Can they flip the script to say, can the food that I eat do the exact same thing?
Mm-hmm.
And it can.
And that's where the education portion comes in, and why this project isn't just about changing what kids eat at school. The education side of it is important, and the family education side is what we're doing. Yeah. We're not just concerned with what the children are eating at school, but we are concerned with affirming culture wherever you are, number one. Mm-hmm. And then number two, re-educating the masses into the mindset that the food we eat at those celebrations, that's celebration food. That's not everyday food. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you abandon your culture because you're on a health journey, but you understand that there's a time and place for everything. Mm-hmm. And that if you do have the access to all the wonderful stuff that we have here in this community from these farms, then you partner with the farmer, you buy the local stuff, and you cook the local stuff. And make it yours. That's another thing that, one of the things I aim when I'm with those kids and those families, it's all about, if these are the herbs and spices you use those herbs and spices.
Right.
But just try it with this, like with the squash. They thought the squash was weird.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, the part of what we're doing is introducing children and families to things that they don't normally see on their plate, because there's extra benefits to, number one, if the farmer is growing squash and you're not buying it, you're not supporting the farmer, are you?
Right.
And then you're missing out on an opportunity to have something that's delicious and nutritious for your family that could be done in several ways. Mm-hmm. So the whole approach of it is so... It's a circle. It's cyclical. It's, we are building a sustainable model here for the city and hopefully the world eventually.
Right. But one thing that I do appreciate about you all and what you're doing is, growing up, my grandma didn't have a farm, but her house was on an acre. Mm-hmm. So guess what?
She grew food, huh?
I was rolling chicken. I was picking squash. I was canning tomatoes.
Food preservation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I totally get it. I think sometimes for me it's like the timing piece and trying to make it fit in an already compacted schedule. But I want to circle back to something you were talking about, Patricia, when you were talking about families actually sitting down and eating together. And I can tell you, as someone who works in the school, that kids will say, I eat in my room, my mom is in her room, my brother's downstairs, my sister's in the dining room. Right. But re-navigating back to families and creating that, well, that's the word of the night, the culture, right? Mm-hmm. And the rituals of actually having family time and dinner time, which is seldomly happening.
Well, Kim, the most important thing that we see as parents, and we see it every day, is our children are growing up.
Yeah.
They're automatically going to go through a phase where they need you, they want you, they love you, and mommy and daddy can't do no wrong. But when they get to that certain point where they're independent and they want to go off and want to learn, that's when the real time is for me to bring those kids back into the kitchen and have them learn what a tablespoon looks like of whatever that spice is that you are standing at the stove, or their father is standing at the stove cooking. So go get me this out of the cabinet where it is.
Right.
That's the communication about what family really, in my opinion, is healthy. So letting the child or the youth participate, they will always be in the kitchen, because I can guarantee you, your children, just like my children and Liesha's children, love that one recipe.
Yeah.
Ooh, mom's making this today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And I tell you this because I have a 27-year-old and a 20-year-old, and last year I got a 13-pound sweet potato that
I remember
that. Okay. Guess what my son took out of the freezer the other day and said, Mom, you gonna make a sweet potato pie?
Mm-hmm.
I said, no. He was heartbroken. Why not, Mom? I said, because you need to learn my recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you got it written down somewhere. I said, yeah. I said, but have you looked in the recipe book lately? No.
Mm-mm.
I said, so the day that you want this pie, you're going to come and say, Mom, I want to learn how to make it. And he did. The pie was not my pie,
but
that's the way it works.
You know, when was the last time that your child came into the kitchen with you? That's all I'm saying. Food, culture, learning family recipes is important, because if they don't learn how to cook when they're young, they will be the ones who navigate to the fast food, to the things that have too much salt, too much sugar, and too much white flour.
Right.
I tell everyone, stay away from white salt, sugar, and flour. It comes out my mouth a lot. You know, so I tell you, I love to see kids in the kitchen. I love when I go into our family nights out and Liesha and Viola are in there working with these kids, and there's 25 to 30 of them in the room, and everybody's looking at stuff like, what is it? What is this? What is this? And they're engaged. A child will learn how to cook very early because they see their parents cook.
I totally agree, and I'm really I have the negative effects of that. So my 11-year-old loves to cook, likes to ask questions, hands on. The other ones are,
They're eating.
Yeah. but my 18-year-olds, I said, tonight you're gonna cook dinner. Took the stuff out for her, took out some chicken, and she was gonna do some pasta or something. And I'm like washing the dishes, and here this girl comes on with a hoodie, with boots on, with sweats, and I'm like, where are you going?
Right.
You going to dump the trash or something? She's like, no, I'm going to start cooking. And the stove is right here, and she's right here, and she's like, oh.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God. I said, you are going to die when you go to college, because you can't boil water.
Yeah.
But you know every song that comes on the radio.
Yes.
So I was like, missed the ball on that one.
Well, there's a couple of things.
Missed the ball on that one.
No. So there's a couple of things with that. There are some people who are naturally inclined in the kitchen, and then others who are not. Like, my daughter hates cooking. She would prefer not to ever have to cook. But what I did was I said, okay, this is the day a week that you are going to prepare a meal. And I leave the kitchen, because you can't stay in there and watch the train wreck happening. You just have to pray and please let her wash the
anxiety
because then you'll be like, get out the way, and I'm gonna do it myself.
Right. And that's what we do. It's like, okay, just keep breathing. Just keep breathing. Turn away. Yes.
Right. And this is the same child that has been using a knife since she was a brownie in Girl Scouts. But that's when we start the children. And in family night out, you got a couple of parents who come in there and they're like, my kid isn't ready to use a knife. And I'm like, yes, they are. If they can use a phone, a dishwasher, a computer,
YouTube,
they can use a knife. It's just about the proper size, shape, task,
right?
All of that. Maybe start them out with baking. Baking is measuring cups in a bowl. I learned how to cook by using packaged food, and that really tears people's minds up. But when I was 9 years old, there was boxed food in the house, and I read and I followed the recipe. Then that made me better prepared to follow a recipe in the Betty Crocker book. Right. And then, so now they got the phones. They can go online and find recipes.
YouTube will show you step by step.
Yeah.
There's really no excuse. But I think, like you said, that interaction is great. Like at this point, the other day I was so scared, but I woke up and my 11-year-old had totally cooked breakfast. I was like, whoa. Right on.
There you
But
go.
still be careful with the stove. And,
Yes,
like,
yes.
okay,
all those safety
all the
measures in
safety
place.
stuff. But I
And
think
you didn't smell anything burning, so
no, it
your
actually
side was
smelled
good.
right. It
Yes.
actually smelled good when I
Yes.
woke up.
That's really a win.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Now the 18-year-old, I'm sorry, and Lanai, if you're listening, I'm sorry, like putting you on the spot. But that
You
girl
gonna
came-
get there, girl.
She
You
can't
will.
boil water. But just the sentiments of, like you were saying earlier about like grandparents, like when I learned from my grandma, she didn't really say like a half a teaspoon of this,
Right.
a half a cup of this. It was all kind of like, okay, this looks like it could be this much.
That's
And
how.
maybe-
That's how our grandmothers taught us.
That's how they taught
Yes,
us.
yes.
That is how they taught us the skill set, something that someone can never take away.
Right. It's invaluable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have $1 million question. This is like a surprise question for you guys. So what? A week ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a situation with the youth at the mall.
Yes.
And there was a lot of, let's just say, mixed perceptions and ideas of what should be done or what should not be done with our youth as it relates to the edible schoolyard. How do you see yourselves being a tool for the youth?
Several ways, but the first one is with marketing. Folk in Stockton sometimes believe that if they come up with an idea that is centered around kids, they don't share it. And in that, when they do share it, there may be 3-4 other people that say, okay, I'm going to do it. And when it comes out as a program, they've missed part of the boat, and that is, how do you connect with the children so they trust you? For them to come to you as either a mentor, a parent, or someone who just cares.
Right.
The conversation around what we believe children need is something that is only about 20% of the equation. When you're in their space in school, have the conversation with them about what is it that's missing in your own hometown. I've been here 35 years. There have been a lot of programs dealing with kids that stop and start. A lot of those programs don't ask the children, is this a program that you can be a part of, that we want to hand off to you so you can build it as you get older? No, we're still saying, no, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. Children don't feel engaged.
Right.
And that is what we saw on the camera.
And thank you for that transparency, because if I read one more comment of back in my day, back in my day, get a belt and whoop 'em. Get a belt and
Hey,
whoop
the
'em.
bell didn't stop them in East Oakland when I lived there as a youth. So,
And you know what? And I really have an issue just in the line of work I do. You cannot solve aggression with aggression.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
In
Yeah.
fact, I tell a lot of people that belt whooping, that spanking or whatever, is actually your relief. because what
yes,
get show, all that.
yeah, that's a workout.
Yeah,
You
that's
should have
a
just went to the gym. Like,
I'm trying. And you want to tell me you want to spank a 17-year-old?
that ain't gonna happen.
That's
It's
not
gonna be
gonna happen.
violence in your house.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
being on the level with the kids is something we miss 100%. We were young before as well. It didn't work for us. I don't know about y'all, but the whooping didn't really work. That did for me.
What worked for me was my father looking at me side eye.
Ooh, that look.
Right. Oh, well, and the scriptures.
Yes.
The 100 sentences was real.
Yeah. Right.
And just that lecture from my grandfather, my grandmother, my uncle, my aunt.
You didn't want to disappoint the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you knew that your parents, your aunties and uncles and grandparents, everyone was involved. And if you made a wrong choice, your mama was gonna be on the phone talking about, girl, this
Come
girl
get me.
and
Come get
listen,
me,
But I think what I saw there with the mall was a few things, and it's something that I think is just expanded even larger. It was a concentrated thing that I saw in one of our family nights out events with the children, in that kids aren't used to being asked what they want. And it is a new thing to ask a young person what they want, with the intent to actually listen, understand, have a conversation, and possibly even do the radical thing of giving them what they want.
Yes.
Within reason. I'm not saying as in give children everything that they want. But when it comes to what Pat was saying as far as the programs in the city, in the county, in different areas, there are a lot of people who are older than me and beyond that have made decisions for children without considering what the children actually are looking for. So the thing is like, you might not like electronics, right? You might find that doing things the old way of putting puzzles together is better for the mind. But you're not going to find 100 kids that's going to sit around and put puzzles together as much as you really, really want that to happen. Right. So let's consider implementing some of the values and core values that you want to be the end result within the things that they are currently interested in. Right. And as a program, we're saying that this is really their program to design. We're inviting parents and students and community members to say, come be a part of Edible Schoolyard Project as we develop this program into what it's going to be for not just the schools, but for the sustainability of the city, for the health of the city and the county and all of the surrounding areas, because this is our area.
Right.
So it's not somebody coming in like Pat saying this is what we're doing. It's a full collaboration where, we sit down and talk with people all the time and find out, well, that didn't work, so what do you think? And they say, well, I think you should try this. Well, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. The investment in a child is so amazing when you can have that conversation. Mm-hmm. Now, to make sure, and what I said earlier, to make sure that that child knows that if this is what you want, you've got to put the time and the energy in it, because I'm handing it off to you.
This isn't mine, it's yours.
Right.
Well, and then they have that investment. Now they're brought in because it's something that belongs to them. One thing that I will say, I don't think I said this, but I really wanted to make this point clear about the farming piece. It's clinically evident that farming in itself, within its own exclusive lane, contributes to building emotional attachment, stability, and nurturing. Because I remember when I was growing, when you said squash and zucchini, it took me back. I had a flashback. Because we used to always have bets about who would grow the biggest zucchini, or who would grow the biggest squash, or who would grow the biggest watermelon. So we would put in those extra efforts. I think my grandmother had like 10 grandkids, and we were always in competition, not in the sense like, but
it's fun,
but
family
it's fun.
competition,
it's
right?
fun.
Yes.
Listen, I had the
Something to
biggest
focus
zucchini
on.
that summer.
Yes.
I did. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So giving the kids something that they can put value in themselves. I remember that article. I don't know if you remember the article with the little girls and the chickens. In Boggs Track, it was an article Stockton recommended a couple years ago.
Yes.
And it had you had the little girls with the chickens.
Yes.
And they were so excited that they had hatched. I don't know if they were chickens or hens or whatever they were.
No, they were quail.
Oh, were they quail?
They
I'm
were
way
quail.
off.
Yes, quail. No, but it's a little bird.
Right. It was a
Similar
bird.
to
It
a
was
chicken.
a bird.
Yes.
Almost a chicken.
Yes.
But it was their faces just lit up. It lit up, and it was so amazing to see these kids invested in something that probably you had a side conversation with no one who was invested in this type of work or this type of field. They would be like, "What's a so it's a quail, it's a chicken, whatever."
Right.
But the little girls were so inundated with that. That is what is missing when we talk about the state of the youth. Investing in them and bringing them in.
There's a sense of peace when you put your hands in the soil, and when you go from a seed to something that grows into something that you can eat, and see that little bird hatch and grow up and produce eggs and all those other things. You
So
see
the next
process.
level to what she is saying is building your own wealth. When you have a piece of land that might only be a half acre, a quarter acre, to be able to tell a child, if you do this, you will be able to make X amount of dollars at the end of the season. And it's not the back-breaking work. You're printing your own money. That is what generational wealth should look like for these children.
Right.
Because, again, with their minds on the brink of saying, this is about money. Where am I going to be? How am I going to make it in this world? When there are so many negative things out there that they're seeing every day. Give me 100 children. All I want is 100. Let them work with me for a year. They will see the dollars and cents that this can do for them. I have a woman who can teach them how to cook. I have other folks who can teach them how to grow. That combination for me, I want to grow 100 chefs in Stockton.
So you got 90. You need 99.
Yes, because I know
we're gonna send Nico over. So she only needs 99, y'all.
This
One
is
slot
what I
filled.
want. This is what I want. And
I love it.
we're gonna do it.
I'm
We're
all
gonna do it.
in.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see the growth. I can't wait to see the inspiration and the hope. I'm also feeling like this is also an outlet for communities that actually are in food deserts and don't have access.
Pretty much the
Pretty
entire
much.
city of
Well,
Stockton
yeah.
is
Yeah.
a food desert.
Isn't that so horrible? Aren't we like number 16 agriculturally?
And that's the dichotomy that she was talking about. The fact that there is so much food grown here that is
And
not
shipped out.
made available to the people who actually live here is part of the problem. It also leads to all those health disparities that we keep seeing that people are blaming other things for. And really, this program together will help to alleviate some of those stressors.
Right. And it was also, just kind of reflecting back, it also could be a crutch to families who don't have enough resources to make ends meet, food-wise.
Yeah.
For food shortages, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
You
Buying
grow a few things
yeah.
that you don't have to get at the store, and there you have
Saving some
it.
money.
Yes.
Yeah. Learning, and then maybe possibly, I haven't, besides the urban farm and Boggs Track, I'm not too aware of any other community-based gardens or. Well, I know. Let me be quiet because Don gonna kill me because I know he has.
Don is the only
Yeah.
the only other black farmer, along with Bufa, which is out on Bowman Road, which is an offset from Boggs Track. Ellen Powell, myself, and Inez and Al, we built Black Urban Farmers Association. So, and out on Bowman Road, Miss Kitty Brown has 10 acres, and we have an area on her farm where we grow vegetables. So there's really only 3 entities
Wow.
that are growing food.
Wow. So let's change the dynamics in 2020.
Intentional.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Any last final thoughts, ladies?
I appreciate you asking us again.
Oh, no.
This is, I if we have the ability to come back and give you updates on where we're at, where we're going, what this looks like in 6 months, I will have retired by that point.
I was thinking about that today.
And
So when's the retirement date?
June 2nd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
At that point,
You got
bigger and better
99.
things.
You got 99 kids,
Right?
Yeah.
Don't give Nico spot away. I'm gonna tell him when I go home.
No, he is gonna be my number one for sure.
She need 99, y'all. Not 100, okay? Y'all better hurry up.
Yeah,
Nico
yeah.
gonna be out there making
Yeah, but-
13 pound. That was a huge sweet potato. 13 was it 13 pounds? An opportunity that this community needs so badly. I'm very excited for you guys and very proud.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. I'm
Yes.
excited for what's to come for the city. More than anything else, I don't even feel like this is a me thing or a her thing. It is literally like, if y'all only knew. That's why I'm glad that Pat said what she said. If we could come back and update you
For
as things
sure.
are happening,
Yes.
it would be really great, because there's a timeline. There are things happening all the time behind the scenes that these steps that are taking are just fantastic, and we're hoping that the community is enjoying it.
So I have one last selfish question. So I don't know about the viewers, but I had an opportunity to go to one of your events, the Edible Yard.
Our
community dinner.
Yes.
Yes, you came
Yes.
to a community dinner.
Oh, and those peaches were the best. They
Yes.
were. I've never had a peach that good. Probably
Okay.
way back to when my grandma was living. So, tell me what we can expect for those type of events and any other events that are up and coming for you guys.
Well, our kickoff for 2020, we have scheduled. Alice Waters is coming to town, and she's going to cook January 16th. I hate to say it, but it is an invite only, because it's the collaboration between Stockton Unified and Edible Schoolyard. We are tying the knots and making this secure.
Making it official.
Making
yes,
it official.
making it official.
After that, we have 2 additional phases. We are looking at land to actually build a farm. We are working with more local farmers to grow food for the children in Stockton Unified. So we're looking at a CSA program, Community Supported Agricultural Boxes. And then we're going back into the community centers and the schools, which is a new thing, to do family nights out, where Chef Liesha is going to be highlighted, and she's going to be cooking, and we're going to have conversation. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Wonderful. Wonderful. Chef Liesha, any spoilers you want to drop before we close out?
Spoilers.
2020 spoilers.
I don't know. No spoilers.
So how do people
Things
contact
have to
you?
be kind of, put together before we start dropping the bombs on folks. But for me, I do have some work outside of Edible Schoolyard Project. I am doing personal chef services, catering events and workshops and nutritional counseling for people as well. So I have a few clients, and if folks are needing some help with meal planning, like we discussed before, meal planning solutions, menu planning, all of those types of things to just help you get on track. That is literally what I do, and I can help folks with that. And just stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram, Chef Liesha Lee. You
guys have the Edible Schoolyard Facebook page, right?
Not
that
yet.
Going to happen by the end of January.
Yes.
Okay.
So Edible Schoolyard Stockton will have all the social media stuff set up by the end of the month. So we're excited.
Well, we're excited for you.
Yeah.
And thank you again for joining me, ladies.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And just a friendly reminder that the Voice of San Joaquin operates on your donation. So if you feel it in your heart to provide a donation, we are a 501c3, and we do, again, rely on those donations. So please look us up, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and also YouTube. Thank you for joining the Live with Kimberly show. Can't wait till next week for another episode. Thank you, Chef Liesha, Miss Patricia, Edible Schoolyards, Barnett Wellness Center. Signing off, everyone. Happy Friday. Be safe out there, and we'll see you.